Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to look at the match stats page where we can research the stats for an individual match. So we'll start from the home page, we'll go to stats and we'll click trading stats. On the all matches tab, shows all the upcoming matches for today and some of them for the next day. Tabs at the top, so you can filter out the ones that you're more interested in. You've got WTA first and then ATP. So let's have a look at, which one shall we do? Let's have a look at this third round match, Jabeur and Bencic in Madrid. Right, I'm not necessarily going to go through how I would research it, although I'll mention that as I go along. I'm going to try and show you how you can use all the information on the page. Just because I do something a particular way certainly doesn't mean it's the right way. So a bit of player information, you've got the age, the height, left-handed or right-handed. Do they use a two-handed backhand? Most of them do these days. Current rank, highest rank, current price. We are looking at getting that as the Betfair price for the time being. We've got Pinnacle on this one. We've got the TP surface rank, which is one that we do ourselves, a little tweak of the way that the ATP and WTA work theirs out. So in this case, Jabeur's higher ranked by our system. Previous matches, Bencic has won both theirs. It tells you when they played, the tournament, the surface they played in, what round it was, and the result. So both matches on clay. First one 2022 went to 3 sets, and the one in 2021, which was actually in this same tournament, Jabeur retired in the second set. Okay, then you've got the match records for different time periods. The top 4, I've had these separated out so that these are, the top ones are for all surfaces, and then the second group of 4 are for the current surface. In this case it's clay. So you've got the last 10. Personally, what I tend to do is look at a longer time period and then try and drill down into the stats. So for example, I would look at the last 50 matches, then I would look at the last 12 months, then just for this particular season. And whilst I would look at the last 10, it does give some indication of the actual current form. The old saying is form is temporary, class is forever. Not sure what idiot said that, but it does make a bit of sense. Now you haven't just got these stats. If you click on, let's click on the last 50 for the current surface, which I say is clay, it opens up details of all those 50 matches. Tournaments are separated, you've got to divide it between the tournaments, so you can tell reasonably easily where they've had good tournaments. So there she won the title in Charleston, second round in the French Open, quarter-final in Madrid last year. Where it says lower level tournaments, those were the exhibition ones during the COVID lockdown. 2019. The further back you go, in my opinion, it becomes less relevant. Anything outside the last 2 years, the relevance is really low, because a player's game and ability will progress, well, will change significantly over a 2-year period. So 2019, yeah, good performance to get to the third round of the French Open. I'm not that interested in that one. But again, just because I'm not interested doesn't mean that you shouldn't be. Find your own way to do it. Look at Jabeur quarterfinals in Stuttgart. That was this year. They actually met in the final at Charleston. Obviously lost to Bencic, as we've seen over the other side. She reached the fourth round at the French Open last year. Third round in Madrid this tournament. Charleston reached the final 2021. Semis in, they had 2 Charleston ones last year. Everything was messed up with COVID. And also, not just looking at the result of that, you can look at the stats. If you click on the individual match, you've got the in-play stats for that match. So there's a lot of information. As you keep going further into it, you get more detailed information. And you've got, you know, if you've been looking at tennis stats at all, this is the normal stats that you would have: first serve percentage, first serve won, second serve won, break points saved. They also show them in terms of return, which is obviously just the opposite of service stats. It saves you working them out. The detailed stats at the bottom, you won't normally get them unless it's for a Grand Slam tournament. So if we go to one of the French Open, you'll see at the bottom you've got winners, unforced errors, net approaches, points won on the net, fastest serve. That information does seem to be collected, because you'll see it if you watch a match or a stream that's got a commentator. They seem to have access to that information. I just haven't found a site that does provide it to us mere mortals. So if I was researching that one, I'm looking at the last 50. Well, look at the all surfaces first. In the match notes that I put on the site and in the trading advice email, when I say long-term win percentages, I'm looking at 50 matches. So Bencic 37 out of the last 50, 35 out of 50 for Jabeur, so not too much between them. I'll look at the ROI, looking obviously for a higher number there. Return on investment in these figures is a way of sort of factoring in the quality of their opponents. I am looking to include a price filter in the stats. It's on the list, that's all, that's all I'll say. Then we can look at the last 12 months. So both 71, identical actually, 45 out of 63. Higher return on investment for Bencic again, and then in the last year slightly higher, 74% for Bencic, so she seems to have slight edge so far. Then we look at the current surface, in this case it's clay. Last 50, again pretty close, 30, well, very close, 33 out of 50. Slightly higher ROI for Jabeur this time. Last 12 months, percentage wise, slightly better for Bencic. Much higher ROI in the last 12 months on clay. And they've both done well this season. Both won 8, and Jabeur's had 2 losses. Certainly looking at that, the figures for Bencic again do seem higher. Higher ROI. The win percentage is pretty even. So as having got to that point of the page, I'm favouring Bencic. Then we've got the tournament record, so we've got what they've done in this tournament. So Bencic beat Makova in 3 sets, and again, if you click on that, you can get the stats breakdown for that match. I'll be looking at, she faced 12 break points in that one, only broken twice in 3 sets. That's pretty good. Decent serve stats. 63 is a pretty good figure for second serve points won. A good solid performance against Begu in the first round. Faced just 1 break point and saved it. Again, really good stats. So in both the matches she's serving well. Jabeurs, Paolini in the first round broken 4 times. She saved 3 of the 7 breakpoints that she faced. First serve percentage is okay. First serve points won is okay. And not as good as Bencic on second serve. It's not a terrible figure, 39%. Not as good as the ones that Bencic is posting. So everything so far seems to be pointing to Bencic. Let's look at Jabeurs' other one. Broken 7 times in that one, in 3 sets. See there, she lost the second set 6-love. You don't tend to lose a set 6-love if you're playing well. First serve percentage is not great at 51. First serve points won is okay at 65. Little on the low side, definitely lower than her opponent. Her opponent Bencic in this match, that is. 38% is pretty low. So everything so far still favouring Bencic. You've also then got looking at what they did last season. So as we saw when we looked at the breakdown of the last 50, Bencic quarterfinals last year, 3rd round for Jabeur, and oops, what did I click there? And then you can also look at the lifetime results at this tournament. So Jabeur doesn't have any other ones other than last year. 2019, Bencic made the semis, and nothing special before that. Second rounds, qualifying rounds, nothing special. But again, everything that when you put everything together, so far I'm favouring Bencic. Right, now below the filters header, what am I looking at? Well, let's look at what we've got first. You can filter by the individual surface, or you can just select all surfaces. When you change something in these, they're not tick boxes but options, it will automatically update, so just give it a second or two to do so. You could choose stats just for this tournament. It should ignore these filters if you click this tournament, but just check. The easiest way to check is just see the number of matches. We know they've played 2 rounds, so you should have 2 matches in the results. So we can compare their performances just in this tournament. You see their massive difference in the service holds, 92% nearly for Bencic and 54 for Jabeur, as we saw with the number of breakpoints that she'd faced. She's had to work a lot harder for her service holds. Return points are better for Jabeur. Breakpoint save better for Bencic. Breakpoints 1 better for Bencic. Now the opposition hold, that's a figure that lower is the better. That's how often their opponents held serve. And quite a lead there for Jabeur. I haven't traded her 2 matches this week. It sounds like they were both pretty messy. Both players struggling on serve. And Bencic has come through matches where both players were serving pretty well. Other stats that we've got: service points 1, first serve percentage, points 1 on first serve, second serve percentage, which is always going to be pretty high unless somebody's hitting a lot of double faults, and the percentage of they're quite useful, these tooltips. They're a bit annoying when you're just moving down the screen, keep popping up. Second serve 1 percentage, better for Bencic. You've got return games 1, that's better for Jabeur, but as we've seen, her matches have generally had breaks for both players. Tie breaks, just the one. Jabeur, and she won it. Now the stats below there, where it starts break of serve, these are the stats that it's the next thing on the list for the live section. At the moment we've got, these were really a test set of stats to see if the coders could get them to work, and they've obviously done that. What I want is, I don't want to leave, when I'm trading a match, I don't want to leave the trading screen that's got the scoreboard, it's got the ladder and the in-play stats. Say the match is approaching a tie-break, I want to check their tie-break records. What I don't really want to do is take my focus away from where my ladder is and the scoreboard is to come and look at this screen. It's good to have it there, and that's the only way we've got of seeing it at the moment. But what I want to have is perhaps on the same pop-up that has the streaming graphs, there'll be a box that will show the relevant stats. So it's not just going to show all these, it would show, for example, the tie-break record. Now, whilst there's only been one tie-break for Jabeur in this tournament, we can change. I think the last 10 is a good number to use. In fact, both these, which is why we've got last 10 and last 30. We need to choose Clay. We need to choose main tour, although both these players only really play on the main tour anyway. So that's going to give us a few more matches. We could also filter to a year, and you see there you've got a few more tie breaks, so it's more useful information because it's over a longer period. But I would want that tie break record to pop up on my trading screen, not have to visit another window, perhaps on another screen. But these, the ones that we have now, all very useful. They're all there for a reason. Fairly self-explanatory, really. Where we've got here, are they broken in the first game? Trying to avoid those pop-ups coming in. Are they broken and break back before the end of the set? Because obviously what we want to know is if they go break behind, what's the probability that they're going to break back to give us a good trade. How often they get the first break of serve. Do they immediately get broken back? How often do we see this? When a player gets a break of serve, they get broken straight back. 30% of the time in their last 10. Let's change that to a year. Gives us a bigger sample. Where are we? So Jabeur, 31% of the time after breaking, she immediately gets broken back, whereas it's just 17% for Bencic. She's a little bit more reliable at consolidating the break of serve by holding serve herself. Can be a bit of pressure serving for the set. So if the score's 5-4, how often do they hold serve? 5 out of 5 for Bencic, 2 out of 5 for Jabeur, so she's definitely worth laying if the score's 5-4. And obviously I want to introduce other scores that would appear in the pop-up. Anything that's relevant to the current match situation should pop up in this box on the trading screen. So you've just got the information to. It's not magic information. Just because the stats favour it doesn't mean that that necessarily is going to happen in the individual match that we're trading, but that's the information that we're going to use to make that decision of whether we lay, whether we back, whether we stay out. Other stuff we've got: hold serve to win the set at any score, 13 out of 13. So in the last year on clay it was 14 matches. Bencic has never been broken serving for the sets. That's pretty impressive. 71% of the time for Jabeur. Wins set 1, wins in straight sets. You can see Jabeur there, 7 out of 8. If she took the first set, she didn't lose the second in effect, so it wouldn't have been a good choice to lay her. 6 out of 8 times for Bencic. So if you'd laid her when she won the first set, you wouldn't have had too much success. If they've won the first set, how often do they win the match? Every time. 8 out of 8 for both. If they've lost the first set, this could see all these are helping us to make the decision: do we lay after the first set? So if they've lost, look at this, lost set 1, how often do they win set 2? 3 out of 6 times for Bencic, 6 out of 8 times for Jabeur. So definitely worth backing her if she loses the first set. How often do they lose the first set and win the match? 50% of the time, 3 out of 6 for Bencic, and 50%, 4 out of 8 for Jabeur. Broken first in set 2 after winning set 1. Only 2 out of 8. Oh, stop. You should better turn those off. 2 out of 8 times for Jabeur that she is broken first in set 2. So that doesn't really encourage you to lay her after she's won the first set. Maybe lay her when she goes a set and a break up. Bencic broken first in set 2 half the time. That's not a bad figure. Worth a go if it's a decent price. So you see they're the type of stats that we're going to have popping up on the trading screen. I've got lots more to add. Coders are going to love me. So that's pretty much all the information that you've got there. And as I went down, as I kept mentioning, everything to me was favouring Bencic. Probably close enough that there's a chance of 3 sets. Jabeur certainly should be competitive, but the way that she's played in the first 2 matches, she's faced a lot of break points. Bencic has been serving well, so that's going to put extra pressure on Jabeur, because she knows if she gets broken, there's perhaps less chance that she's going to be able to get a break back. So I'm going to be favouring Bencic in that one. I think I've covered everything that's available. So there's all the stats that we have, all these below this green bar, are affected by the filters. So whereas there are certain sites will give you a spreadsheet with stats, you've really got 1 or 2 filters that they provide you, whereas here you've got a lot of flexibility to choose the stats that you want, the time periods that you want, the surface that you want, etc., which I think is a real step forward. So that's the information on the individual stat page. Hopefully that's been of interest and of use. Any questions on that, send me an email. I'll see you on the next one.